Hi, I'm James Harris, one of the Teens Make History players at Missouri Historical Society and the stage manager of today's production. The Teens Make History players research, write, and perform our own plays, usually in Missouri History Museum, but now on Zoom as well. You are about to watch the third episode of our series, The Double Pandemic, which explores real people's experiences with the overlapping pandemics of COVID-19, racism, and income equality. Sharing these stories is a way we can begin to process some of what has happened this year and gain new perspectives on what people around us might be going through. Teaching artists from Metro Theater Company provided feedback during our writing process, then co-directed and produced all three works in the series. At the end of this short story, please stick around for a question and answer session with me and the rest of the Teens Make History players. And now, the double pandemic. But what can I do?
Hi, Lynn.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, nothing much these days.
How's everyone?
As well as I can be, stuck here at home.
I get that feeling.
Hopefully everybody stays better now that I'm here.
Okay, let's get started. How do we want to divide up work?
I want to do the least work possible.
Oh, come on, Drew. You know you're smart. Stop pretending like you're lazy.
I'm a musician. I don't have time to worry about things like school, Grace.
Okay, guys, for real, let's just we only have a week left, and these meetings are so hard to set up.
This is going to be awkward, isn't it?
Hey, that's on you for not ending up in a group with your friends.
Don't be mean, Grace. Lynn is chill. You're chill, right, Lynn?
Oh, you guys know each other?
Yeah, we're neighbors. We carpool to hockey practice sometimes. Well, before all this happened, the corona.
Of course. Okay, so our project is the Civil Rights Movement, as we know, was the time where Black Americans fought to be equal to white Americans through protesting and demonstrastrations. And yeah, so let's get started.
Oh, hey, Grace. Speaking of protests,
What's up?
that was the protest that you went to. I'm so sorry I forgot to text you about it afterwards. I was totally swamped with homework last Sunday.
Guys,
Well,
can we just get back on topic?
It was great. You should totally come next time.
I'm just still not sure if I'd feel comfortable.
Guys.
What was that, Lynn?
I mean, come on, haven't you seen the protests on the news?
What about the protests?
I mean, police shouldn't be able to unfairly target and hurt Black people, but the protesters are basically rioting in the streets. They're destroying businesses and property. It's terrible.
Whoa. That's not accurate at all. We are standing together to rework, redesign, and improve the systems designed to protect us so that they are fair to Black people. We want to improve things such as education and healthcare, so maybe the police will be less necessary. We want to make sure that the police are punished for killing a Black person.
I'm just saying what I'm seeing on the news. It's violent out there. You guys should stay away from it. There are huge riots in Portland, Seattle, and many other places around the country. There's been rioting and looting right here in St. Louis. People are getting killed, like that retired police captain.
That's not at all true. The media just makes it seem that way.
I mean, I don't know. That is sort of what I'm nervous about, too.
Not you, too.
I mean, I don't want to get killed or arrested for that matter. I can't have a criminal record.
But 93% of the protests are peaceful. The media just makes it seem like they're violent.
Grace, why don't you share what it was like for you at the protest?
Sure. Well, it was nothing like you were describing. Sure, I was a little nervous at first, but there was nothing to be worried about.
Seriously?
Seriously. We were all coming together and marching. I saw some local activist leaders that organized marches like this, and they were there giving speeches. I saw a lot of people I knew. We were all coming together to fight for this common cause, separate a bit because of COVID and wearing masks, of course, but we were one voice. Felt really good, you know?
That sounds really cool.
It was. The only hassle was the police. They were watching us like hawks the whole time. They're there to protect us or whatever, but it shouldn't feel like it.
Well, I mean, maybe the protest you went to is peaceful, but that's not true everywhere. I just don't want people like you getting hurt.
Really? Is that what you're worried about? I brought my 8-year-old brother to the protests. He said to me he was scared at first, but once he started to march with everybody, he started to feel better and get more into it. He even said to me afterwards, "Thanks for taking me. I feel like I really understand what we're fighting for now." And it was like a good experience for him, you know? Exercising your right to free speech just feels great. He even asked me about coming back and going to another protest. I would never bring him any place he could get hurt. Do you really think I would put him in danger?
No, I don't, but
So I would rather not hear you telling my friends lies about the protests.
I'm not lying. I watch the news every night. It's scary right now. It feels like America is falling apart. Why would the news lie about that? Maybe if these protests were more like the ones in the 60s without all the rioting and breaking stuff, then I would feel safe going.
Come on. The news only reports on things that will give them more ratings. They only care about getting more money, and that's it. It's not about depicting what's going on in the real world. It's literally just about money.
Look at what the civil rights movement in the 60s did. They managed to accomplish a lot without using violence. If these protests were more like those, without all the rioting, then I would feel safe going. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, and more marched for days. They even peacefully marched on the White House to get the president's attention.
But that's not necessarily true. Protests in the 60s were pretty bad. People were met with tons of backlash and violence. They were beaten and killed in large numbers. It was probably much safer now than it was then.
That's interesting. I don't feel like I hear much about that. I mean, I really admire the protests in the 60s and the culture and all the music that came with the movement. And
That's not what my dad says. He says that Martin Luther King Jr., as the leader of the protests in the 60s, would be ashamed of today's protests, and that the actions of today's protesters are nothing like the actions of protesters back then.
That's ridiculous. Your dad has no idea what he's talking about.
Hey, don't say that about my dad.
You do know that Dr. King himself was arrested 29 times, and so is my own grandma. She was at a sit-in, and she was just trying to be served, like any white person would. And then she was arrested.
Well, what does she think about today's protests?
Well, she thinks that we're fighting for the same thing, and that's equality. We just want Black people to be treated the same as white people and for our lives to be valued the same. And we're doing that by protesting and showing up.
I know that, but that doesn't change that the tactics, like all this violence and the destruction of property, are nothing like things were back then. They're just not as peaceful.
You do know that the daughter of Dr. King also thinks that the protests are useful and good. and she thinks that her father would as well.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard about that actually.
Don't forget about the daughter of Malcolm X. Another civil rights leader is in full support of the protests as well.
I didn't know that.
Honestly, Lynn, you seem a whole lot more worried about the actions of protesters than what they're protesting. Those people out there in the street, they are calling for an end to centuries of injustice. Black people in America are not treated the same as white people, and I don't hear you saying nearly enough about that. All I hear is complaining about isolated pockets of violence from people who have been pushed beyond more than anyone should have to deal with in America or anywhere else. You may be coming from a good place, but you're using the language of hateful people. So if I were you, I would reconsider where you're coming from.
Maybe. I guess some of what you said made sense.
That's a start.
Maybe it just makes me more comfortable to not look too deeply into why the protests make me feel uncomfortable. Does that make me a bad person?
Confronting things that you take for granted is the first step in growing and changing.
And then what?
And then you have to get yourself. Go beyond what you already know and what you're already given, and listen to Black stories and voices, and learn about what's actually going on for us and what's actually happening.
I guess it couldn't hurt to try some of those things. Thanks, Rain. Could you send them to me?
Yeah, of course. I will later.
Thanks, I really appreciate it.
I'm still just not completely sure if I'm comfortable protesting.
And that's fine too. You can sign petitions and call senators and donate. There's a lot that you can do for a cause that truly matters.
Thanks, Rain. I'm not completely sure how I feel, but I guess, no, I know. Expressing my beliefs and making change are really important to me, and maybe I was letting myself be held back by my nervousness. I would like to go to a protest with you, Grace.
That's great. I'll text you about it later. You won't regret it, I promise.
So, now that we've talked about that, can we please get back to the actual project?
I totally forgot we were supposed to be doing something.
What's it about again?
Really? Really?
Just messing with you.
I wasn't. What are we doing?
We're researching the civil rights movement.
Oh, right. Well, we did get a good start on that, didn't we?
You know, I guess in a way we did. So, what do you want to do individually?
I think I'd like to look at the music of the civil rights movement and the protest chants that protesters called out together as they marched and delivered their message together.
Music. I should have known.
So what are you researching?
I think I'm going to look into some of the activists from back then and what they and their descendants are doing now.
Yeah, I am too. I'm going to interview my grandma and learn about what it was like in the 60s for her back then. Oh, and what about you, Lynn?
Well, there's a lot I could read about, but maybe I'll look into comparing how people think of the protests in the 1960s to how they actually were. I definitely feel like I need to know more now.
That's great. I'm so happy. I think that this is going to go well. I'm really excited. Well, all right, guys. See you later.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.